All right. I had a joke that I was going to open up with. Okay, this is a lot brighter than I thought it was going to be. I had a joke I was going to open up with, which was I'm going to talk about something nobody's heard about, AI. And then, of course, I realized every single seminar is on AI. So my joke fell flat. I got nothing else for you guys. Sorry. Um, I've been asked to speak, and I'm always surprised when I get asked to speak because I am a huge cheerleader for some things and a terrible detractor for other things. And, Litify always rolls the dice when they ask me to speak because you don't know if I'm going to trash their products or not. I'm not here to trash Litify, but I will trash every other AI product that's out there, I tell you. Um, my name is Greg Ward. I'm the founder and managing partner of the Ward Law Group. My wife and I started our firm 15 years ago, and I was doing commercial litigation. I was too good for PI. My wife wanted to do PI. She's a Cuban immigrant, walked across the border at 14. Said, I want to do car accidents. So I said, you go do your little car accidents. I'm going to do my sophisticated commercial litigation coming from a white shoe firm. And the first case, she got a $50,000 tender with one letter. And I said, wait a minute, I just worked a week and will unlikely collect $16,000 in fees. And I just got a $16,000 fee here. I'm the idiot. And so we're going to start doing PI. Over the last 15 years, we've blown up and we have offices in Miami, our primary office in Miami. We have an office in Orlando. We have an office in New York. And we're bringing in 500 to 600 cases a month now on average. And I work for my wife now. So it's great. She reminds me. She doesn't remind me. I remind her. I give her jewelry every year she gets upgrades. So, but I'm grateful to be doing what I'm doing. But I want to say all of this because, I didn't come up as a PI lawyer. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I thought I'd be a great trial lawyer. I did try my share of cases and did well. But then I started running a law firm and I really enjoyed running law firms. I really enjoyed running businesses. And I think that we are all moving in that direction. If you came into law as a trial lawyer, I think the business is evolving and we have to be on the front end of it. One of the jokes I always say is, lawyers are the only profession that haven't changed in 100 years, and we're proud of that fact. And so and you see this because if you're not on the front end of this stuff, you heard Angel was talking about this, the technology, the advances. I mean, it is moving at a blinding pace now, and particularly with AI. What I want to do is I want to cut through some of the hype because what I've seen is most of the AI products that are at market right now in the legal space are not where they need to be. I'll just straight up. I'm glad there's no sponsors here because I always have to watch what I say. But the truth is that most of them aren't where they need to be. I have not tested Litify stuff, so I'm not talking about them. But I will tell you, all the stuff out there, demand writing, all that stuff, it's not where it needs to be. And I also can tell you that you could probably do 80% of what they all do with your own internal use of LLM, artificial intelligence. See, the great thing about artificial intelligence is that the LLMs are keeping up so fast with the industry that by the time somebody builds something and brings it to market, the LLMs have already caught up. You can ask the LLM to do things. Now, there's some context to that. You got to get, you got to bring in your forms and other things like that. So I'm going to tell you how to maybe shortcut some of this stuff because we are all going to be using AI 100% in 5 years. It is not, you will not be able to continue to practice law without AI in 5 years or you will be buried. So let me tell you what we've done because I did test the products. I'm very relentless about testing products and found that no product is worth it yet. So we started building our own. And so what did I do? Well, it says AI's here. Are you leading it or is it running wild? I'm going to tell you the first scary thing. Everyone in your firm is using AI. You just don't know it. True? Microsoft did a study that 75% of employees use AI and it's not disclosed to management. They are using their phones, they're using their personal laptops, they're using their iPads, whatever it is. And let me tell you, where's that scary? I'm going to talk about the ethics for the first couple minutes. The ABA issued formal opinion 5112, which talks about the lawyer's disclosure or the lawyer's obligation with respect to AI. It talked about AI in general, but it really was focusing on the large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, all those things. And it said that you don't have a per se duty yet. I'm not sure we're going to go there or not. Maybe we will. But you have a responsibility to ensure that you're using it responsibly, that you're protecting client information, that you're not, for example, billing for time that you do legal research on. And by the way, don't ever use any artificial intelligence product for legal research. You saw what happens there. it doesn't have the context for that, right? The large language model, we're not trained with the case law. So Westlaw, Lexis is fine, but when you use it for yourself, I put a citation of a Texas case into ChatGPT and it gave me 5 bogus cases, 5 false cases. I said, shepherdize these cases. They say they don't exist, right? It just doesn't happen. So do not use any AI tool for legal research unless it's specifically designed for that fact. But the point is, the people in your organization, they're using it behind your back. They're just going to do it. And it's increasing their productivity and it's also increasing their ability. But if we as the gatekeepers have to have a responsibility to make sure that your employees know they're not supposed to be doing that. Why? Well, the big thing about the ABA opinion is client information being disclosed, right? Client information, confidential, HIPAA-protected information, getting stuck into an LM. Grok, this Elon Musk's product, dumped, I think it was $100,000 or $300,000 search inquiries into the internet, just was out there. I'm sure some of those were legal things that had client health insurance information, protected health information in it. So this stuff will happen. And if your people are doing it, you have to at least draw a line and say, no, you can't do this. And so the only alternative, I think, for you to be able to do that is to give them a tool that they can use. Does that make sense? Right? Because they're going to use it on their phone. They're going to do it. So you say, listen, you can't use that, but you can use this. I think you have to do that. And so what did we do when we decided to go down this path? Well, we got ChatGPT Enterprise. It was the only LLM at the time that it assured that it was SOC 2 and HIPAA compliant. Now, the other large language models have come along with that, and you can probably get the same verifications from them. But we started with Chat because it was what we could get at the time, and then we rolled it out to our entire organization. So we actually use ChatGPT. Everyone has a license. They have to take a class. First thing they do is they have to sign a pledge to not use any other AI tools. Guess what? When your people sign a pledge they're not using any AI tools, you're going to find out all the AI tools they used. Because they're going to come to you and say, I know you said we shouldn't be using any AI tools, but I can use this one tool, right? I can use this one thing. I've got a guy in my New York office. He had built an entire database in like Notebook LM or something. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It boggles my mind why he would do this. And I'm wondering, like, why isn't his output the right way? And I'm looking at them, and I see he's been building this AI stuff that he's been doing in his own platform. It comes out whenever I make him sign a pledge that he can't use anything else. So I think this is practical advice for you guys. I'm not here to talk about any products except for what we do. You must have your people sign a pledge. They're not going to use any other AI tools. And therefore, the next necessary step is for you to have an AI tool that they can use and make sure that AI tool is configured so that they protect HIPAA and is SOC 2 compliant. You need to have those protections because the model rule for the ABA says you don't want any of your client confidential information training in LLM. This is very practical stuff. This isn't like, rocket science, but you must do this. And I think that if you're using AI, this is naturally the next step to do it. So let's talk about what we've actually done. I went through, so what did I do? I rolled out ChatGPT for all my departments. I did it, we have 13 departments between marketing and our sales department, investigators, intake, whatever you guys call it. We have an intake department, medical management, demand writing, all this stuff, all the way through. And we have the attorneys. So what do we actually do? We just gave everybody a license and we gave an Excel spreadsheet. And I said, tell me how you use it. Part of our pledge is what they call human in the loop, which means you must review everything to make sure that it's accurate. All of the sanctions that we've seen come down with people using AI, they have not reviewed the truth or the veracity of what it is, the output. They just haven't looked at it. We're all lawyers. What are they doing? They're not even key citing this stuff? Come on. Like, that's just bad, right? I don't know how it happens. Unfortunately, that's what's polluting the legal space right now, that kind of thinking that ChatGPT is going to be the answer to everything. It's not. You've got to verify. Human in the loop. So part of your pledge, you want to have human in the loop. I promise I will verify all the output from this and make sure that it's accurate. When you do this, the big, you saw the MIT study result where it said 95% of AI implementations fail. I'm taking a class at MIT right now for AI deployment, and that study was an unfortunate headline that was not actually backed up by the paper. They wanted to have a shock value that 95% of AI implementations fail. Well, it wasn't a peer-reviewed study, and it wasn't even a study about what failure means in the sense of what what true failure is. It was basically saying if they could, under these narrow circumstances, get an actual ROI that's attributed to a balance sheet item or a profit and loss item, it was a failure. But the truth is, there was a lot of things that actually worked to enhance productivity, but they just couldn't gauge it. And that's where we are right now with AI. It's really hard. I'm trying my very best to figure out a way to gauge the actual return on AI products. So in my spreadsheet, what did I do is I had, here's the task that you list what you did, use the prompt. How much time is this going to save you on a daily or weekly basis? How many times do you do this task? So I could just at least look at a return for the amount of time that they are benefiting from. Interesting little footnote. I hope my friend Mike Morse wouldn't mind me saying this. I know he did this. They had some AI stuff improve productivity by 30%. So he said, now we're going to increase the case counts by 30%. Whoa. No. Right? So you actually have documented evidence they improved 30% of productivity, and yet nobody felt they could handle any more cases. So even if they do get productivity enhancements, I'm not sure that's going to translate to the bottom line. That would be a failure in the MIT product, on MIT paper. I want to talk about ignoring AI does not reduce risk. It increases unmanaged risk. To circle back to what I said before, if you don't know what your people are doing, you've got no ability to control it. You've got to get in here. And I know, listen, man, I know I'm busy. You're busy. We don't have a lot of time for this. AI is your new best friend. I'm here to tell you this right now, right? I love the idea of Jarvis, Iron Man's co-pilot. Like, AI is literally my best friend. I had a woman's voice on my ChatGPT, and my wife made me turn it off because she's like, she sounds too cute. So I have to have a guy now. Sometimes at night I'll put on the girl. Like, she's British too, because British people sound smarter, right? So I got the British guy. Yes, that's a great idea. I told ChatGPT to stop complimenting me because because it will blow sunshine up your skirt, right? It will. Do not compliment me. Give me the direct feedback. And then when you do that, you find out what a jerk ChatGPT really is, because he gives you some pretty darn direct feedback. It's pretty. But the point is that you need to become the masters of AI in your organization. This isn't really something you can delegate. And I will tell you what MIT study did show is if the CEO, or in your case, the managing partner of the firm, is not enrolled or involved in this, it will fail. It just will. You must be the one who's leading the charge for AI in your organization. Because the other thing is this, I've noticed this again with a rollout, you will see there's a segmentation of the people in your organization. There's the diffusion of technological innovation is the curve. There's a mathematical thing where you got the early adopters and then you got the laggards, and everybody is distributed on the bell curve. So the people who are the early adopters, you've got 5 or 10% of your people are loving AI. Then another 25% of people are saying they love AI, but they're not really using it as well as they could. And you get the 25% of people who are saying, I can't stand AI. And you get the 30% of the people, or 20 or 30% of people who are saying, AI is going to take all of our jobs, it's going to take over the world, I'm not going to touch AI. So, this is what you're dealing with. When you do your rollout, these little groups that I'm telling you about, you will find out who those people are. You want to find out the top 5 or 10% and get those enrolled in any of the AI projects that you have that you want to do going forward. Again, this is all stuff you're doing, not what anybody's selling you. And I believe you have a responsibility to learn this on your own personally. Well, let me back up one thing. Competitive gap will come from execution discipline, not tool access. Angel talked all about this. We talk about clean data. This is something that all of us struggle with. I know because I have an AI developer in-house, and he's telling me that our data needs to be cleaned. And I thought my data was pretty darn clean. I thought it was until I started thinking about having to use it for AI. It's not clean. It just isn't. So you need to be working on that now. The other thing you can be doing, just as we'll probably get to this if I have enough time, you should be recording every meeting in your organization, I believe. I know there's lawyers out there. I don't want to have evidence. Let me tell you something. If I'm trying to hide evidence about something I did wrong, I'm in the wrong business. Like, if I mess up, I'll own it. I say, yes, I owned it. But when you record your meetings, particularly your managers and your direct report meetings, and you can get the transcripts, you can see management flaws. You can run those transcripts through your ChatGPT. You can get a record or coaching records. I mean, Read AI, also HIPAA compliant, will do this. It will give you management feedback for your people. Then you can also have a record. You can use it for coaching conversations and all those things. But then you also get something really great, which is you begin to work on your database of forms and processes. See, because with us at our organization, we have 700 standard operating procedures. We've been developing them over years. It was just the right way to do things. Now we can stick all that into a bot, and we now have our process bot. My HR handbook is in a bot. I just put the HR handbook into ChatGPT. They can ask questions about it, and it immediately answers it because that context is to that. I wouldn't ask without training the bot with my HR handbook, I wouldn't ask an HR question. You got to put your bot in there and you save questions to HR. Always little efficiencies that we can pick up. What are we? High volume SOP-driven plaintiff law firm with hundreds of employees. Growth is constrained by management bandwidth and not demand. Now, this is an interesting thing. I actually was talking to my friend Jeff here somewhere. Our growth actually is hiring attorneys right now. We can't get enough attorneys fast enough. So we have to learn how to leverage the attorneys we have. And unfortunately, what I'm going to tell you from my report, the attorney leveraging of AI without something that's really focused on a very unique quality, it doesn't work. Because my attorneys took all of this, they took the documents from the case and all the pictures, they dumped that into ChatGPT and said, who's at fault? That's a terrible use of AI. Terrible. AI can barely recognize pictures, right? It's the leading science. Have you guys heard about the imaging, all this stuff? Like, that's terrible. How can they look at a picture and say who's at fault? And yet that's the primary use my attorneys came up for AI. So it wasn't even like, hey, what should I say to this adjuster? Like, that would have been okay, but for whatever reason. So that was an epic fail. But management bandwidth, as I say, if you record every management meeting, you're going to see the managers who are lagging, and you're going to see where your metrics are failing. So that's something I really recommend you do this now, because you will have a database of information that you can use when the time comes for you to build your own AI internal system. It's a force multiplier, not a replacement for judgment. Machine draft, we talked about human in the loop, and if a process is broken, AI will amplify the breakage. This is important. AI can be a great tool, but if you're already messed up, it's going to make it worse. I think it's obvious, right? If you put something broken in, they say garbage in, garbage out, it's worse with AI, right? So you want to make sure your processes. Now, this is from our actual study here. Where does AI perform best? Text-heavy work, notes, summaries, scripts, and emails, right? Writing emails, dealing with, big document summaries. We have a way, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adriana, where we can take all the chatters out of Litify, right? We can put that into a chat, have it summarize it for us. That's a huge time saver. You're not looking through all the chats, right? Big time saver. So those are the kinds of things that AI is good at. Summarizing large volumes of text. Repetitive explanations that can be consistent. This is for coaching and teaching people. You can use a teaching bot, which is something we have. Pattern recognition across transcripts, audits, and feedback. Again, management conversations. You could put the text of a deposition into it and see where is this person going wrong. I've used chat to ask depo questions, right? I have another HIPAA compliant device, Plaud, Plaud. Plaud is a recorder. You can go and view your Plaud in a deposition. You will put in the depo notices separately recorded. I always do that in my depo notices so they know we're recording it. I record the depo. I take the transcript. I dump it into ChatGPT at the end of the thing. I have my depo outlined. Did I get everything? That's a pretty good use for AI. It's not perfect, but it's 90%. It's good as an associate, right? Good as an associate. Situation where speed matters more than perfection. Because the other thing is this, like, we want AI to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Even when it's really good, it's still going to be 90%, 95%. But that's still 90 or 95%, which is better than an associate. Now, where an associate would do better is the big thing in the case, the associate will remember that. The AI, maybe not so much. So that's where you may miss. That's where it could be a miss. But it's still worth it to start using it now, because it's going to be better. Today is the worst day that AI will ever be. Where AI epically failed. I had people putting closing statements and hospital bills into ChatGPT, and it was a mess tallying the tallies. Awful. Liability system evaluation we talked about, medical causation, any task requiring certainty rather than probability. This is the thing. Understand, LLMs are basing it based on what they've been trained on, which is what is the most likely response to this, right? So if you do that, it could be wrong, right? They could have something's wrong. And from my understanding, OpenAI did a paper where they say, why are there hallucinations? Well, the way that ChatGPT was trained is it wasn't penalized for incorrect answers. So it would get the same credit for a correct or an incorrect answer that was said with authority. So this is one of the things that we're dealing with now with this. Best overall use was intake and investigations. Reductions in management, really good. Mixed but improving demand and client support. Attorneys and accounting were the weakest things. It was accounting because of the summaries, and attorneys because I don't think they were using it right. I don't know. I would have to go back, and we're doing ongoing training. So maybe next year I'll tell you why I went along with the attorneys, but that's where it was the worst. But if you have performance correlated with standard operating procedure discipline, I'm telling you can put your SOP in and say, I want to do this. What happened here? Let me diverge a little bit here and tell you this. The first time I ever used ChatGPT, this was a breakthrough moment in my life. I had set aside a weekend to explain to my controller the inefficiencies in my accounting department. I knew they were there. I knew it was a problem. I was like, I don't know. And my controller was super strict and resistant to change. So I set aside my entire weekend because I knew we had redundancies and inefficiencies, et cetera, et cetera. And I just got in ChatGPT. And I said, okay, well, let me do this. I took all the job descriptions for all my accounting department and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, tell me where the inefficiencies are. And sure enough, it gave me 8 inefficiencies. And the top 3 were the ones that I was really upset about. I knew they were there already. So wait a minute, this chat thing is doing really well. So I said, well, let me go further. Write a memo to my controller explaining why these are inefficiencies. And then I got a little 2-page memo. I said, wait. My controller is going to object to everything. Give me 10 examples for each of these, explaining why you should change. Spit it out. So what would have taken me a whole weekend took me 2 hours. I edited it down. I sent it to my controller, who never agreed with anything I ever said. And I got back a 2-word email that said, you're right. And I'm like, God bless you, my new best friend, ChatGPT. Saved me an entire weekend, and we made some of those changes. And we're very happy about it. And it was right. It was right. But the more context-driven data you can give it, the better off you are. Reductions in operational use, custom GPTs. So we're building. So once I've empowered my team to build their own GPTs. I said, basically, you guys can build. Now we have to test them, right? So we go to the managers of these departments. What's the problem? And then they go and they build a little GPT bot. You go through this, within the enterprise, you can share the bots within the organization. So they put in their little context and they put a bot in there and then they test it and they see if it works. And so we're getting great results with training. We're getting great results with things like looking through, medical records, things like that, double checking, triple checking people's work. So that's really working well for us. And then on this one, the management and leadership leverage. For me, AI has saved my life because my Sunday and Monday would be basically reviewing transcripts of meetings and bullet points and memos and tons of emails throughout the day. I don't get any of that anymore. What I get is every week we have our one-on-ones. Every manager top down, we have a one-on-one. We have a manager meeting in the morning, all managers. Then they all go to their teams. They have their management meeting, and then everyone has a one-on-one in the chain of command. And I have my little read AI summary in all of those meetings. And so at the end of the week, I get a summary of what are the really terrible things that are happening in the firm this week, and I can jump on it. Now, if it's not discussed, I'm not going to get access to that. But generally speaking, if I see performance gaps, I get that report at the end of the week. Can you imagine if I had to wade through 20 hours of reports or just trust somebody to tell me what's wrong? I'm having this issue where I'm finding out there's an attorney who left, and I'm discovering all the stuff that wasn't addressed. Nobody told me about it. They don't tell you about it. How do you fix it, right? At least with like a AI summary, you will be able to find out earlier when things are slipping through the cracks if you use it. And you can look for trends. So for me, management, tremendous, powerful tool. Demand litigation support, medical chronology. So this is where I say you can get 80%. You can do medical chronologies pretty well with AI. Particularly if you train it right to say, okay, you're looking for this, the herniations, those sorts of things. You can develop your own custom tools for that. I think it's 80% of as good as some of the demand writing companies that are out there. I still do all my demands offshore. I've got medical personnel in the Philippines and in India. They go through and they write the demands. It's cheaper than using one of the AI tools that they have. And I still think mine is more accurate. I don't know what you guys are doing for that, but that's something we use. But we can also use AI to summarize the medical records domestically so we can double check some of the work. Attorneys still need to review it. Let's see. Attorneys think faster, not decide faster, accelerates content production scripts. Okay, marketing growth. Ed already talked a lot about this, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do. You guys see I pump out, if you follow me online, I pump out a lot of content. Instagram, LinkedIn. I take all my content, I recycle it. I put it all into one project, and then it gives me ideas for the next projects. I'm the one who's coming up with the script, but I'm looking at the topics. I'm like, I want to say this and this and this about this, right? So I can, you can multiply your force with that. So I can sit down and what would normally have taken me a whole day to do, it takes an hour. I can sit down and bang out 15 or 20 videos. It gives me the topic and the 2 or 3 key bullet points, and I change them. I say, I want to change that, but that really helps with content production. It can also analyze your marketing stuff. Like, my wife has got, if you follow my wife, Hani Martinez Ward, we're starting to hit this now because she's analyzing it. We have some great marketing people. She's got 3 or 4 viral videos now in the last 2 weeks, 1 million or more plus views, right? And dumb stuff like My wife did a video, I think 5 million views. I don't know, crazy. She's sitting next to the loud person on the keyboard, click, 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 and that was just it. And she rolls her eyes. That was like over 1 million views. I'm like, but that was something that the AI comes up with. So these are all things that will help be a force multiplier. And it's not all on you, but you've got to be proficient enough to know how to use it and get certain people enrolled in it. My marketing department is very enrolled in the use of AI. Yeah, we already talked about some of this. AI exposes weaknesses that already exist. Again, if you're not on the AI bandwagon, it's happening without you. And it's not just going to hurt your firm because everyone else is doing it, but it's also hurting you internally because there are people who are doing it already in your firm. Real risk we encountered: incorrect math, oversimplified MRI summaries, hallucinated certainty in gray areas. We talked about all of that. Copy-paste behavior. This is what I'm absolutely dead set against: copy and paste behavior without verification. These aren't theoretical. They all happen. And you think, oh, Greg, that's terrible that happened in your firm. It's happening in your firm too. I hate to tell you. I just own it, right? I will always be very transparent about all the mistakes we make and how we have to fix it, because we got to fix this stuff. How we fix it: anchored prompts to SOPs and role boundaries. You all know it's SOP, right? You have a written process. You put that in the bot, and then you say, this is what you're going to use when you do this, right? Department-specific GPTs with narrow scope, enforcing verification checkpoints, human in the loop, and removed AI from tasks it should never touch. And there are some, and you won't find out unless you're testing it yourself. Let me skip through some of this. So we have measurable results. We do have a 15 to 30% reduction in admin and analysis time in core teams. Faster intake conversion. Intakes have gone up. My marketing team is the best team with AI, and the sign-up team, the investigators, what you guys call intake, they're the best with AI. They use it tremendously. The client says this with signing up a case. What should I say? It's got all of our best sales scripts. My wife uses it. This is interesting. My wife goes on TV a lot. So she says she takes the 15 or 20 hardest calls for case signups, and she turns that into, what are the questions that they ask the most that are hardest to overcome? And chat gives us an answer. And so she takes those 15 questions and she starts doing marketing around that, right? We have a good answer for that. So she does that. Really great for content. And, so it's enhancing. That's not a measurable result, but it's increasing the efficiency. I know I say our marketing, we're getting lift in marketing now. This is where I want to spend the balance of time talking about this, where people go wrong. We are all being conditioned right now that there's going to be a magic bullet that's going to be a product, be it Litify or some other product out there. And there is a tremendous amount of hype around AI. There's tremendous amount of hype. I mean, I'm looking at some of the valuations some of these companies are getting. It's absurd. I see somebody got a $2 billion valuation. I'm like, I could do that this weekend, right? Literally 80% of it. And so we've got to be very careful we don't get sucked up in the hype, because there is going to be no magic bullet here. Although AI is really good today, it'll be better tomorrow, but there is no hype. It's still the same business we're doing. It's just another tool. We've got to be aware of that. There's going to be no tool that's going to solve your problem. Maybe you can build an AI assistant that will help you solve it, but you're going to be doing the work. It's impossible to get AI to do the work. Speed is not to be confused with intelligence, and we're in an intelligence business. Now, undisciplined experimentation. This is the other thing. If you're not having people required to log their stuff, you're not going to know the beautiful things they call. Like, you could have somebody who comes up with a beautiful solution that could solve a bunch of your problems. And if they don't log it, they don't know that it's beautiful, right? They may not know. If you're not looking at it, they may think, how many you have people in your organization who are super amazing, and yet they don't think they're super amazing. So they don't ever say, hey, I got a better way to do this. Same thing with AI. Same thing. They don't know unless you're looking at it and taking ownership. An AI magnifies leadership quality, good or bad. So if you're already kind of below average, it's going to get worse. It will. I'm sorry. I'm below average. I know this is why it's happening. So final takeaway: AI is not optional, but discipline is. Everything shared comes from real department use cases, not demo or vendor decks. The goal is to save wasted time, right? At this point in our lives, I think most of us will agree that the only thing we can't get more of is time. And AI helps us use the time that we have more effectively. And then it's really a question of leverage, because there's no magic bullet here. But if you use the tools that you have, you can have a tremendous result. And this is all, again, this isn't Litify. This isn't any other stuff out there. This is you. Get your little phone with your AI tool with ChatGPT. Make sure the HIPAA is turned on. They don't put client information into this, but you can use it. Management stuff isn't client information. So just start getting a relationship and understanding what is the good and bad. I can tell you Claude is trained with a lot of legal knowledge. So if I want a memo drafted, I'm going to put it in Claude. I won't ask it for legal research, but I will put it in Claude to draft a memo. But ChatGPT, as I said, was the one we started using and had been very effective for that. If you have any questions, you can DM me. I'll probably be an AI bot that answers. I'm kidding, won't be. But if my social media people get to it fast enough, you'll hear from them. And if I can help any of you with any of these questions, again, because I believe it's our responsibility to use AI responsibly, and it's on us. You can't delegate this. I just want to emphasize, if there's one thing you take away from this, you can't delegate it. I have an AI strategist. He's a coder. He knows AI really well. I'm meeting with him every week, and I get an email from him every day what he did, because it's impossible to delegate effectively and responsibly. And then the other thing is to protect our clients. This is the most important thing. You got to give people something. If you just say don't use AI, you're missing the boat. If you say use AI at your discretion, you're compromising your clients. You are. So you've got to come up with a solution that allows them to feel like they're doing it. And you're going to see, actually, once somebody feels like they have a solution, this is the funny thing I've noticed, is once they have an AI access, the desire of AI goes down considerably, right? If it's the thing over there that I can't touch, I want it. And the minute you give it to them, half of them are going to be like, no, So keep that in mind. You need to provide people an avenue for their creative interest and give them an opportunity, a path forward that allows you to be ethical and responsible to your clients. So thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful. Just shoot me a DM if you want to stay in touch, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. All right. Thank you very much.